G'day guys and gal. A gripe that people have with Age of Sigmar is the fact that the Stormcast Eternals are more or less just space marines with functioning penises and less guns. Even GW kind of admitted this, as they wanted the model that everyone bought to be easy to paint. Now, love or hate Age of Sigmar, you can't deny that it has a pretty sweet aesthetic and is quite epic. This is the setting that has gods walking the battlefield alongside mortals after all. So how does a Sigmarine compare to a Space Marine from Warhammer 40k? Today we'll pit their strength, speed, durability, powers, skill and girth to the test to see which poster boy can kick more ass. Now usually I would put the sponsored message of the day or some random product I was selling in this part of the video, but I have neither, so yeah, follow my Twitter if you haven't already. I reply to funny tweets and I scour it to see if today's the day that I get cancelled. Or don't follow it. It's a free world, unless you're Chinese. How this works is that once I've talked about the specific numbers and data about each of the fighters' power, I'll pit them against each other in a hypothetical battle, kinda like a discounted death battle, except for that one time it became a high budget death battle. If this video does well, gets a bunch of likes and comments and ego-fueling internet validation points, aka subscriptions, then I'll be inclined to get it animated for your viewing pleasure, as I've done in the past. Let's get into it. Starting us off with the bulky, shiny poster boys. That doesn't really narrow it down, eh? How about the bulky, shiny poster boys who can also be girls, the Stormcast Eternals? Now before I get into the nitty gritty of how hard they can turkey slap your mother, it's important to note that despite a lot of demons and gods within 40k and Age of Sigmar sharing names and abilities, their power scaling is different. The 40k universe is huge and contains
billions and 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 billions
of souls. Whilst the realms of Age of Sigmar are large, but they aren't the size of the Milky Way, not even close. Hence the demons and gods in Age of Sigmar are weaker than the ones in 40k. Don't believe me? The birth of Slaanesh in 40k wiped out the most powerful empire to ever exist and has permanently raped the galaxy. In Age of Sigmar, Slaanesh is currently in a coma from getting her shit kicked in by some elves. She's also tied up, which, she's probably totally cool with. But, and there is a but, that's not to just say GG Ez, Space Marine more OP. The demons might be a bit weaker in Age of Sigmar, but they fight alongside gods, demigods and other big chunguses. Mostly because the demons don't have to have a constant IV drip up their ass filling them with the warp. There's a lot more freedom for the demons, hence more powerful demons can get to more battlefields. We get it? Good. Let's move on. For this comparison, we will be using a rank and file Liberator Stormcast. If we were to use, let's say, the Celestian Prime, then the Space Marine would turn into a red paste before he could even blink, as the Celestian Prime can hit with the force of a supernova and can easily survive getting punched into orbit. Standing at 8 to 9 feet tall, Stormcast Eternals are no joke. Despite their size, however, they would weigh closer to 160 kilograms out of armor, opposed to the significantly heavier Space Marines, despite their similar height. This is because the Stormcast Eternals are in proportion to a human, and haven't been genetically augmented. They just got bigger from Sigmar's god tier semen. Unfortunately, the realms of Sigmar don't have gyms scattered around, so it's hard to figure out what the actual strength of a Stormcast Eternal is. However, the internet is full of people way nerdier than me that have no life, so we actually got a pretty good answer. Zor, on the Space Battle forums, was able to do some quick maths using this official artwork. Here it is, quickly. Let's consider that the hammer, doing a rough ballpark calculation, I would say its head's about 50 centimeters long, 10 centimeters wide, and 20 centimeters tall, with a beard that's 20 centimeters tall, 10 centimeters wide, and 20 centimeters long. That's 14,000 centimeters cubed of Sigmarite, which we will assume is as dense as steel, 4.9 grams per centimeter cubed. This works out to be 110 kilograms. If we assume that the Sigmarines can swing that beast at the speed of a Major League Baseball player swinging his baseball bat, that works out to be 61,444.5 joules of kinetic energy. In comparison, a .303 British rifle round, which could go through 3 men and kill a fourth, has about 3,500 joules of kinetic energy. If this guy can get one hit on his target every second, he's delivering nearly the times of the kinetic energy of a machine gun shooting 303 British rounds out at 600 RPM. Or in simple terms, a Stormcast Eternal can hit you really fucking hard. This is also a one-handed weapon. We didn't even factor their fuck-off massive shields, or the fact that they're covered head to toe in armor, which doesn't have a power pack. Now we do know that Sigmarite, the metal that forged their weapons and armor out of, is living metal and has magical properties, so it likely doesn't just feel like a huge clump of dead weight. However, nowhere in Age of Sigmar lore does it say it's light or weightless, hence comparing its density to steel, we can say that a Sigmarin's armor weighs about 100 to 150 kilograms. This number isn't just out of my ass. A medieval knight's full plate weighs about 20 to 25 kilograms, however these were thin, lightweight, and not designed to be worn by 8 foot tall immortal warriors. Hence adding the extra height, as well as that thickness with 2 C's, that number explodes out beyond 100 kilograms. Looking at that shield, it's a tower shield, but that's all I can really say about it. It's thick as a black ass, made purely of Sigmarite, and is heavily ornamented. So I'll just use my science and maths knowledge to say it would be heavy as fuck. If we would then take into account the way in which he's holding his war gear, he is even stronger, as holding shit out like that as opposed to by your sides is exhausting. All in all, a Stormcast should be able to lift about 10 to 20 tons based on the data we have. Everything I just said then was a fancy way of saying a Stormcast Eternal is a strong lad. In terms of experience, a Stormcast Eternal was a mortal hero in their previous life, great enough to get the attention of Sigmar himself, so off the bat they are already very experienced. On top of that, they cannot die. Well, like, they can, but their souls return to Sigmar, who reforges them. Sure, they suffer some amnesia and slowly turn into skeletons, but they maintain their experience between deaths. As such, they are masters of all weapons known and unknown. So they're strong, they're experienced, but can they take a hit? Yes, they can. As mentioned, their armor is made of thick Sigmarite. It's described as nearly impenetrable and has magical properties. To get through it, you would need a lot of power, or maybe, I don't know, a futuristic machine gun that shoots rockets for bullets. Whilst they aren't given the extra heart and enlarged prostate that an Astartes is given, they're still really hard to put down. Hitting their vital organs doesn't really do a whole lot, considering some of them are skeletons that do not have vital organs. As such, the standard removal of the head, bisection, blunt force trauma, or overwhelming power are the go-to ways to take these guys out. More or less the same as a Space Marine. Man, these guys are so similar, it's almost like they were made by the same company to fulfill the same purpose. Their speed hasn't really been explored much, so while it's easy to say that they have solid reflexes and can attack and block very quickly, they aren't the fastest warriors out there, and instead rely on battle strategies, strength, discipline, power and experience to win, rather than individual speed. Finally, what powers does the Liberator of the Stormcast Eternals have? Well, they are the rank and file warriors, so they aren't flying around or flinging lightning at their enemies like some kind of less attractive version of Thor. However, whenever they strike an enemy, lightning rips out of the impact. And they also have lightning that runs through their veins, which is pretty cool. Beyond that, they rely on their strength, skill and strategy to win battles, not the equivalent of, the Force. Now we move on to the stats of a Space Marine. Space Marines are massive, standing at around 8 to 10 feet tall in armor and weighing about half a ton. This weight mostly comes from how absolutely wide these guys are, that honestly put Kylo Ren to shame. Their strength matches their size, as they are noted to easily be able to lift around 6 tons, maxing out around 10 to 15 tons. Now being so thick and bulky, one would assume that a Space Marine would be slow, like a walking tank. Well, one would be fucking wrong and should punish themselves via auto-castration. Space Marines are quick. Mortals who watch them fight in hand-to-hand combat describe it as a blur. On top of that, they can hold a pace of 60 km per hour, and if need be, get all the way up to 90 km per hour for a short amount of time. So pretty much the speed limit on a freeway. I would not like to get shoulder charged by an Astartes. Being strong and fast is cool and all, but it won't get you far if you aren't experienced. Well, Space Marines are functionally immortal and have one of the most hardcore initiation and training regimes in all fictional settings. By the time they see combat, they are already master warriors, and from there they only improve. Space Marines don't really age, so they can be hundreds or even thousands of years of experience in one. A big thing that allows them to live that long is how durable they are. They wear ceramite power armor, which is lightweight ceramic material that can only be penetrated by explosives or high caliber weapons. If you do manage to give them the old penny, then your work is cut out for you, as they have 2 hearts and an extremely high pain tolerance. Like, you could stab one of these guys through the heart, then rip off their arms, and you'd probably still end up getting headbutted to death anyways. And Astartes is only beaten when they're dead. Their skin and augmentations mean that they are bulletproof even without armor to small caliber fire. So now we know the numbers, let's do a quick comparison before we get into the battle. Initially, I expected the Space Marine to have a strength and size advantage, but that just isn't the case. Sure, an Astartes is significantly heavier than a Sigmarine, but that doesn't really matter when both fighters can easily lift the other's entire body weight with one hand. For this comparison, we will also assume that Sigmarite is as strong as Ceramite. For loadouts, the Sigmarine will have his Sigmarite shield and Sigmarite Warhammer. Lots of Sigmas there, eh? The Space Marine will be from the Blood Angels chapter, and will have a loadout of a bolter gun, plasma pistol, frag grenades, and a power sword. Both fighters will also be 420 years old because, yes, I am immature like that. We ready? Alright, let's hit it. For the lead up, both fighters are hunting down a Titsnichian demon who shares a name across both settings like many other demons do. It has already killed their battle brothers, but has been cornered and wounded by both combatants. Sensing its impending doom, it reaches out into the warp and feels the presence of its counterpart. Using their own fucked up desperate voodoo, they send both the Sigmarine and the Blood Angel to a pocket realm in the warp of a broken city. With their final bit of power, they also cast an illusion on each fighter, making the Sigmarine appear as a Chaos Warrior and the Space Marine appear as a Chaos Marine. The two fighters materialize in front of each other, about 24 meters apart. There is a moment of silence before the Blood Angel acts first, raising his bolter gun and unloading on the Sigmarine. The Sigmarine raises his massive shield just in time. The bolter rounds exploding off the Sigmarite, tearing chunks out of the god metal, however it holds strong. The Blood Angel, seeing that the shield was holding steady and that he did not have the bullets to blow it apart, began to charge. He let off his plasma pistol, not allowing the Stormcast to repair. The shock of the bolt strikes the Eternal shield. The shield still holds, but the force of the plasma bolt staggers him. Before he can recover, the Blood Angel slams shoulder first into the shield, knocking the Stormcast back and his shield to the side, exposing him. The Blood Angel follows up the charge, drawing his power sword and slicing it across the Sigmarine. His blows are too fast for the Stormcast, who's only able to parry about half the attacks with his Warhammer as the power sword sliced through his armor. The Sigmarite metal was able to slow the attacks down, and did not let them cut too deep, but they were still damaging. After eating a few more blows, the Sigmarine lashed out with his Warhammer unexpectedly. The Blood Angel leaps back to avoid the strike. With his momentum carrying him forward, the Sigmarine follows up his missed strike with a shield bash, the blow smacking hard into the Blood Angel and dazing him momentarily. The Stormcast takes this opportunity to swing his hammer again, this time connecting with the Blood Angel's pauldron. An explosion of lightning emanates from the hit, as the pauldron cracks and the Blood Angel stumbles. He quickly regains his pose, and the two warriors circle each other, now aware that each is an apex predator in their own right. Suddenly, the Stormcast kicks his tower shield at the Blood Angel. Despite the surprise attack, the Blood Angel is fast enough to dodge it and block the follow-up two-handed attack from the Stormcast. Sparks fly as Power Sword and God Metal collide. The Clash Lock breaks and the warriors parry, strike, block each other's attacks. With the Stormcast now using two hands on his Warhammer, he is able to match the speed of the Blood Angel's sword. Thunder cracks in the dead city as the Titans face off. The Blood Angel strikes and then rolls back, drawing his plasma pistol mid-roll and firing it at the Sigmarine. The Sigmarine is able to lift up his hammer in time to meet the blast. It blows up the head of his Warhammer, leaving it a charred, jagged mess, and the shockwave knocks him back, burning his armor. The Blood Angel charges forward and swings his blade downwards. It cuts deep into the Sigmarine's shoulder, and he locks it in place with his free hand. Before the Blood Angel can pull his locked blade free, the Sigmarine shoves the broken Warhammer handle into the side of the Angel, piercing his lung. Still holding the Blood Angel's blade with one hand, the Sigmarine begins striking the Blood Angel in the helmet with his free hand, each strike cracking like thunder. He finishes barrages with an uppercut that knocks the Blood Angel's broken helmet off, breaks his cheekbone, and knocks the sword free of his body. As the Sigmarine stumbles back to his shield, clutching the deep wound on his shoulder, the Blood Angel, covered in his own blood, begins to unnaturally yell. He screams betrayal and horror to the bewildered Stormcast Eternal. Suddenly, the Blood Angel begins running at the Sigmarine, his eyes black and his teeth bared. He was full of rage, a black rage. The Stormcast barely has time to lift his shield up in front of him with both hands before the fallen angel begins striking at him. Each blow was wild and hit significantly harder than before. It was undisciplined, and if he had his Warhammer, the Sigmarine knew he'd be able to win the fight through poise and timing alone against this new bestial enemy. But he didn't, and his shield began to crack under the relentless barrage. One final blow from the angel cut the shield in half in a shower of sparks and lightning. Another strike cut shallowly up the Stormcast's chest and helmet. The third strike was dodged by the Stormcast. The rapid attacks from the Blood Angel had become predictable and inaccurate. The next 3 strikes were also dodged until the Stormcast leapt forward and punched the Blood Angel in the face. He then seized the hilt of the Blood Angel's sword as they began to wrestle for it. The Stormcast was unable to break it from the Blood Angel's grasp, so he began headbutting the Blood Angel, his golden Sigmarite helmet shattering the Blood Angel's exposed features with every strike. After the third headbutt, the Blood Angel released the hilt and stepped back away from the relentless headbutts. With the power sword now in hand, the Stormcast sliced across the Blood Angel's chest before ramming the blade through his midsection. Without missing a beat, he then pulled the sword free and sliced across the Angel's neck, removing his head and killing him. With the Angel dead, the Stormcast is teleported back to his setting, and with the sword still in his hand, murders the shit out of the Titsnitchian demon. So there you have it. A Stormcast is capable of killing a Space Marine, however it could really go either way, but their strength and durability was very similar. The Space Marine did have a larger arsenal and was faster overall, however the Sigmarines are the best of the best warriors in a setting where gods lead their armies on the battlefield. The Primarch of the Stormcast Eternals, the Celestian Prime, could kill a Space Marine Primarch in seconds, so it makes sense that a rank and file Stormcast could body a rank and file Space Marine as well. After all, one is hand-forged by a god, whilst the other is a demented science experiment that has been going on for far too long. Like I said though, fight was anyone's game. And that does us for today guys. Could a Stormcast Eternal beat a Space Marine? If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be, where only $1 per month gives you access to a boatload of Warhammer hentai. Remember, if this video does well, the animation will follow, so make sure you like and share it if you want to see that. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more conflicting content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.